All right, guys, Eric and JT here with Performance Golf, and in today's video, we're talking about how you can gain more distance off the tee, 10, 20, sometimes even 30 yards off the tee by getting these moves in early with your driver swing that JT is gonna show us in today's video. JT, obviously all of us wanna hit our driver as far as possible.
For sure.
And we know there's certain ways that make that easier to do or more difficult, and things we can do in the swing to get a lot more distance without necessarily putting in a ton more effort,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
And so I know in some of your research and things you do with your coaching, I've seen you do with many players, there's certain things you like to see in the swing that set us up for that sort of effortless power later.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go through the three and then we'll work through each one of them.
Perfect.
I know we like number one, early ribcage rotation.
Yep.
Number two, we like to get the lead arm up above the pec.
Yep.
And number three, we like to see the trail arm working around.
Yes. Pulling back. Yep.
And that's sort of like, you know, cutting it up into pieces. We're eventually going to make that into one motion. But what you're seeing is, hey, if the golfer's able to put those pieces in, their odds of getting more distance on the way down go up dramatically.
Yes.
And so starting with the rib cage rotation number one,
Yep.
I think we would both say the same things. Players who hit the ball the farthest would tend to have more rib cage rotation.
Yep.
And players who hit it shortest tend to have the least. Is that fair?
Yes, for sure. Definitely fair.
Okay. And so let's kind of talk through, we like to have it early, maybe one or two different feels and drills they can have.
Yeah, so we like to see the rib cage rotate early in the backswing, especially with driver. Some keys for that, or a drill for that to understand this is if you just put the club basically right in between your belly button and your sternum, put your arms over it. And this is kind of a cheat code to turn your rib cage, right? You can't really, you're kind of pigeonholed here, can't really use your arms. All you're trying to do is basically take your body, twist it back towards, or I would say away from the target, right? And so obviously in order to do this, the only way I can make this club move is to turn my rib cage. So we can't like go like this club won't move very far. We have to turn our body. So there's a really simple way to feel the rib cage turn.
Yeah, and like, so even at a real simple level, it's like the players who hit it the shortest probably don't start with their body. They get the arms and hands going right away.
Exactly.
And so to hit it farther, the general idea is like, hey, get your body moving early.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And a good reference for that basically goes right into the next drill is just like you said, you know, people try to create some depth or, you know, get the club to move over here. They would just go like this, no rib cage rotation at all.
Yeah.
So the next drill to kind of understand how to use your arms and relative to your ribs would be putting the club kind of right in your sternum, put your trail hand completely straight on the shaft, and then put your lead hand, you know, a couple inches in front. Now, what you would want to do on this drill would be your lead arm stays on the left side of the shaft as you turn. So meaning your rib cage is always beating your arm movements. Versus the bad ones we would see would be, whew, there goes my arm, my ribs haven't moved at all.
Yeah, or also would you see like, you'd also see like if both these just go this way.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no turn either, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
So really big understanding on this early part of the swing is like, hey, I need my ribs to move first. I need my hands to move second, again, to set up that effortless power on the way down.
Gosh, that is so good.
Yep.
And so even, JT, maybe let's just hit one out kind of to the right here a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe like 70, 80% speed.
Yep.
And let's do like one little rehearsal, even with the club in your hands. Yeah, so rib cages, and you're just feeling that same thing you did with the drill there.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Hey, belt buckle, belly button away from the target type of feel.
Yeah, belly button away from the target. Almost the club stays on the ground for a second as I move my rib cage. So I'm almost not trying to move the club at all.
Just do kind of like an 80%er there with that, just to feel that.
Yep.
Yeah, beauty. Oh, that's a nice, that ball curved about 1 yard right down the center of the fairway.
Yeah, perfect.
And so you would see with JT, and you would see with all really good ball strikers, it's very rare that you would see someone hit it far with very little body motion. There's anomalies to things, but generally speaking, body motion's early.
Yes.
So like, we could probably end the video there, and if most of you guys just got that good, you would hit it significantly farther. But JT, to sort of add a layer to that, like, okay, cool, hey, I'm turning early, what the heck do I do from here? How do we get the arms working from there to the top?
Yeah, for sure. So the next sort of big power piece in the swing is understanding how to load your arms properly. The drill that we have for this, or the feeling is for this, once you get the good rib cage turn early, you know, the lead arm's in front of the body. What we're trying to do here is we're actually trying to get the lead arm or lead elbow to go over the trail elbow. So we're trying to get this lead elbow higher than the trail.
So that's like from the face-on view, above it.
Above it, yeah. So you would see my elbow from the face-on view. You would see, you know, my trail elbow. You wouldn't see this one. A lot of people get like this.
Okay.
And the backswing, again, arms really pulled in, no good, really hard to create some power.
Yeah.
And so the really easy drill, simple drill for that, I'm wearing some long sleeves today, so it might fall off. But you're just gonna take the club, put it right on your elbow joints like this, put your hands together like you were holding a club. You're gonna do the first part right, get some nice rib cage turn, hands are gonna go here. And then what you're gonna try to feel is almost make the club slide off or the club head get more on this side. So you'll see as that happens there, that club falls off, lead arm kind of gets over on top of the trail arm.
And if we were doing that from the down the line angle too, like as you're getting the lead arm above the right, what will be like a reference from down the line, like vertical above the pec?
Oh yeah. So exactly. So the big deal for that as you do that is the lead arm is still going to be inward some, right? So we need to still have some depth at this point. But what we're looking to have happen is the lead tricep, the lead arm, again, is going to get over on top of that pec. We don't want that arm below the pec. It's going to be really hard to create some power. So you're trying to get your elbow, not only your lead elbow above your trail elbow, you want your lead elbow above your sternum or above your chest.
And let's do that up to the top one more time. So we get the rib cage early and then from there to the top. So if we're feeling the lead arm a little more vertical, let's go all the way top full. And we're feeling a little more vertical. We're not saying, hey, do this and go like straight vertical, no depth at all.
Correct.
It's vertical, it's up there, kind of like the butt of the club, maybe above the headline for power. But there's also some depth to that bad boy, right?
For sure.
And I know, JT, when you first started looking at my golf swing years and years and years ago, you told me I was lacking the depth piece. And one of the big keys, which is part number 3, is as that lead arm goes above the pec, we can actually use the trail arm to get some of that depth. How does that part work?
Yes, for sure. And so this kind of goes along with, you know, the early part. We see a lot of people get all of this right arm motion early, right? They get this right arm way behind. They can't pull it behind us.
And like, if you think about that, maybe it's just us because we coach golf. But it's like, if I think of that golfer, I think someone who's hitting it short.
Yes, for sure.
1-to-1 short.
Very short.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very short. And so this right arm pulling back is exactly what Eric mentioned. It helps us big time with the depth. And so when we have this lead arm, as this lead arm is loading above the pec, we want to feel as though this right arm is pulling back if I were to throw. So it would feel like I was going like this. Right? So I'm getting ready for my throw. Right? Just like how we throw, we get the right arm, right bicep away from the pec. So if you imagine like a young girl that just throws, you know, she's 3 years old, she keeps her arm and her pec together. Her arm as close as possible, right?
No power.
No power, right? No power. Instead, when we throw, we want, so as far as we can get this arm back, you know, you can see Bryson is a person who does it the most. He hits it the farthest. Kyle Berkshire hit it really far. Rory hits it really far. Both have, or all of them have, their right arm really pulled behind them near the top of their swing.
A couple of pieces with that. When you're pulling the right arm, timing. This is like halfway back to the top.
Yeah, this is after you get your arm over your pec.
Can you kind of show us the timing of that
exactly. So it's going to be a little bit past lead arm parallel. The reason it's important that you don't start pulling it too soon is because if your lead arm hasn't got high enough yet, and you start pulling it back, then you get in that stuck position that we don't want.
Okay. So it's sort of a little later once you get the lead arm on top of there. And as you're feeling that right arm sort of around there, because some people be nervous, oh, my right arm's gonna be stuck. Let's go to the left arm parallel. From here, if you did no turning, your body had no turn, and you just pulled your right arm around, then you probably would be too far behind you. Right, it probably would be stuck. But as he's gonna pull that right arm around, he's gonna continue rotating. So he doesn't actually get the arm like stuck behind him. You can use a little part of your shirt kind of halfway back. You're not gonna go too far around that. But the key point is you're gonna continue rotating that whole time.
For sure.
So rib cage early. Let's go ahead and let's hit another one out there just over to the right side of the range at 80%. Rib cage early, a little bit of lead arm on top of the pec, some vertical. Right arm gets the depth. Let's go ahead and hit one with that.
Perfect.
And JT obviously does all those like really, really nicely. It's nice having you here for a model. You can just swing normal. But it's like any one of those 3 pieces that a player doesn't have, decreases, yeah, it decreases the odds of them hitting it far.
Yes.
By a long shot.
Yep.
I think those three are pretty good, JT. Is there any other pieces you want to add to that?
Well, I think the biggest part of this process too that makes people have the ability to hit it farther is it taps into that intuitiveness that we have with our our right hand in terms of throwing. So when we throw that right arm back, that's the same thing as like if I want to throw really far, we understand when we need to change direction. So we also get a little bit of the freebie of the flow of the movement just from having the right arm pull back, because it tells our brain, oh, I need to go back that way.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool intuitive piece to add in to help your brain understand how to create and accumulate power.
I like that. And it's also just from like a real basic level. It's like to hit the ball the farthest, you would have the club get the farthest away from the ball during the backswing.
Yep.
And then, you know, there's some anomalies. Someone will say, well, what about like John Rahm and Tony Finau? And it's like, well, when they swing longer, they hit it even farther.
Yeah, even farther.
Even farther. So all these pieces, it's hard to make a nice long backswing if you don't rotate your ribcage really enough.
Yep.
It's hard to get the butt of the club far from the ball if you have no vertical.
Yep.
It's hard to get it deep back there if you have no trail arm around. So it's really just a nice breakdown of what's required to get that full backswing. And do you see players, JT, like when they do this, from there, you're kind of just swinging?
From there, kind of just swinging. That's the coolest part about it. It really loads up the entire system so nice to where all you have to do is swing through.
Yeah.
And you hit it much, much farther. We get DMs all the time about people, I've never ever seen that before, do some slingshot and they hit it 20, 30 yards farther. So 20
or 30 yards farther, I would take that. JT would take that. You guys would take that. Obviously, for driver distance, we're looking for things that we can hit it farther with less effort. There's a little bit of thought here. You got to move a little bit different, but we're looking to produce more distance with less effort. Appreciate you guys watching. If you do have any questions, leave a comment down below. We'll answer those. Maybe consider liking. That little gray thumbs up really helps. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching.